During the day, I was focusing on studying black holes, and then in the evenings, I was diving into physiology and neuroscience and how all of the medical devices work. It's not the journey that you take if you want to lower your stress. Now we're bringing the tool that can help also other people to master their physiological response. We lie to ourselves very often, but the data and our heart does not lie. Seeing the signals from the aorta directly from the ear, that will be incredible. It's a very different experience in the US when they criticize you, it's always nice. In our countries, it's never nice. We have so much blood flowing through our body. Why we don't hear it? It will not solve the problems being wake up at 3 a.m.
Hi everyone, welcome to our new episode of Digital Health Interviews. I'm super excited to introduce you to our today's guest. Her name is Dr. Anna Barnacka. Hi Anna.
Hello, nice to have you here at MindMics.
Thank you very much. So, your career journey from astrophysicist to a startup founder. Tell us more. How did that happen?
Oh, I'm wondering if you want the short version or the long version of the story.
Somewhere in the middle.
I started with my own need to manage my own stress because as astrophysicist, I wanted to understand the universe, and to do that, I work very hard. And if you work extremely hard for at least a decade, you will start facing the burnout. So definitely I was...
I think most people will start feeling stressed much sooner than that.
If you're crazy astrophysicist that is traveling all over the world to make sure that the telescopes are working and have to survive in the middle of desert Namibia, which is amazing adventure, but also at the same time, it can be... at some point, your body will start telling you, okay, either you slow down or the body will stop you. So definitely I started experiencing some aspects of negative aspects of stress on my health, and I thought, okay, since I can monitor black holes from the distant part of the universe, monitoring my health and making better decisions should be much easier. And I thought, okay, why would I slow down? If I can have the good tools that could help me to manage my stress and understand what is hurting my health and what is actually good for it. Because there is a lot of good things that we don't really realize or we don't get into the habit of doing it more regularly because we don't have an evidence. I think one of those things is meditation. We all hear how good it is. Then you started doing it, but okay, is it really working? Am I napping, or is it doing something? With simple biofeedback, it's so obvious how profound impact it has on our physiology. So I wanted to have a dashboard that could tell me to understand what is really good for my health and what isn't. And I started looking for such a tools, and very quickly I realized that all of the wearable devices that were available at that time on the market were not accurate enough. So I thought, since I have all of that knowledge about how to build the telescopes, why not to use it to actually figure out something more accurate?
How did you understand that those wearables were not accurate enough?
Oh, that was also a long journey because I started looking into the raw data, because always as an astrophysicist, that's what you always do. You're looking actually at the data. Mm-hmm. And what is the quality of those data? And then also during the day, I was focusing on studying black holes, and then in the evenings, I was diving into physiology and neuroscience and how all of the medical devices work. So I was starting quickly gaining a knowledge about being able to understand what we can read from the data, and then also looking at the raw data from a lot of devices and seeing, is there something I could infer from them? And it was quite obvious that there wasn't much. And it was a pity, because what we can do with the algorithms, with the current sensors, I thought that we deserve much more, and that's why I started looking into different ways of capturing the data. And also from the beginning, I was focusing on the ear, because it's so close to the brain, so close to the heart, and we all put in earbuds, so already behavior was there, and it's the best place to collect the information.
Interesting. But from the very beginning, you did not know that ear can collect that much data that you know now. So how did you get to that point when you realized, oh, there's much more than we just know about right now?
Oh, that was the whole discovery process. So I had the hypothesis. I started with the hypothesis. Or before actually, the way how I built it was that I was looking at all of the medical devices, how they work, and what I have been trained to do in astrophysics was to ask question, what are we missing? Because people always miss the simplest ideas. So we like to go after complexity and keep adding even more complex systems to it because we feel so smart. But that was also part of my journey in astrophysics, that I was always looking, okay, like what is the simple ways? What are we always missing? Because there's so many things that we don't see. Our senses, our experience is so limited in terms of what we can see, what we can hear. So I was wondering, okay, there must be something that we're missing. And when I was trying to understand how all of the medical devices work, like if an fMRI, when you think about the principles of how, what are the physiological principles that they are using, what they are looking at is, for a lot of them, is a blood flow. Because there's so much blood flowing through our body every second, every minute, that this generates massive amount of signals, and the different devices are using that properties in many different ways. So I was thinking, okay, what are we missing about the blood flows? What kind of signals? Because our body is such a massive signal generator, and you have this huge waterfall being pumped every second. So this must generate much more signals that we're actually using. And immediately I was starting wondering, like, oh, by the way, like if we have so much blood flowing through our body, why we don't hear it? Like it must produce so much sound. So this is where I started digging into, like, okay, why we don't hear our brain? Why do we don't hear our body? So then when you're looking at the ear structure, like why we don't hear it? There is actually no reason for that. So the only reason is that actually brain is filtering out everything below 20 hertz. So it's not a physiological aspect, it's evolutionary aspect. Mm-hmm. And again, going back to my training in astrophysics, we cannot just go to the black hole and do the measurement. So we always trying to come up with something more indirect to provide an evidence or to test or verify the hypothesis. And for me, I was started wondering, okay, since if really the hearing range, if there is so much sound in our body, that the hearing range had to be adjusted for it. So then there should be a correlation between the size of the heart and its heart rate and the hearing range as well. It didn't take much experimentation. I just went to Wikipedia and checked what is the heart rate for different mammals and if it correlates with the hearing range, and actually it does. So that was immediately, okay, there must be something, there must have been a reason why evolutionary we had to, the body of mammals actually does correlate with the hearing range does correlate with the heart rate. And just to give you an example, so for example, whales and elephants, they're using low frequencies to communicate. We cannot hear them, because our body is actually generating those frequencies in that range, in about from 1 to 5 hertz or 1 to 10 hertz. There is a lot of sounds generated by the cardiovascular system. For those bigger mammals that have much bigger hearts, the heart rate is so much lower that there is no reason for them to actually not using those frequencies, because their body sounds are at much lower frequencies. So that's why the bigger mammals actually can hear at much lower frequencies, because they are not overwhelmed with their own bodies. So this is where I started. I knew, okay, there must be something. So then I started going to the prototypes, and that time actually I was mostly looking to measure brain activity, because I thought, okay, it's the ear is next to the brain. There must be a lot of sound waves, most likely associated also with the brain waves. And then what was really fascinating, that even with the first prototypes, what we could see was like massive signals from the heartbeats. And then very quickly, just by bringing the first cardiologists, they started pointing out like, oh, here's aortic valve opening, here's aortic valve closing, and starting, talking about everything that we can see in those signals. And then coming with a lot of hypotheses about, okay, we should be able to do atrial fibrillation, we should be able to measure blood pressure, oh, we should be able to see also stroke volume. So it was this whole discovery process, and then adding a lot of different experts when I was building the team who were able to see much more in those data as well.
So 6 years ago, DeepMics was created, and this has been your main journey of the past 6 years. So tell us the progress, where you are right now, and what's your next steps?
Oh, so in terms of the journey, it was absolutely fascinating journey. And it's not the journey that you take if you want to lower your stress.
Welcome to Star World.
So I'm not sure what I was thinking there.
Right.
But what we did from at the beginning, when we saw all of those really incredible signals coming through the ear, and that we could pick it up through the earbud, that was really fascinating. So we thought, okay, like this is really, really interesting, and definitely something that we could build the company on, because there is so much value if we could provide very accurate measurements. At this point, we knew that there will be a lot of information about the cardiovascular health, not only stress, that we could provide in the form factor that is so convenient to use. And today, almost everyone is wearing earbuds. So there was a huge, massive value in that. So what we did in the first few years was we needed to understand what are the feasible applications of this technology. Also, as we going to the infrasonic range, it means we're going into literally a black hole, because there was no good specifications in terms of how to measure the infrasound. Those are very long frequencies. So when you're dealing with the signal that has with the sound that has about 1 hertz frequency, the wavelength is about a few hundred meters. So you're dealing with very different phenomena, that the sounds that we hear that have much lower frequencies, so have very different. They have very different issues, very different, completely different story. Even though you think, oh, it's just a sound. It's when you go to infrasound, it has very different challenges and also very different advantages that comes with this very long wavelength. So first, to understand, actually, to be able to understand, okay, which microphones are actually capable of doing it, how to design the earbud that can reliably measure the infrasound. We built our infrasonic lab, in which we did a lot of testing, a lot of experimentation to understand which microphones we could use, what is impacting actually the signal quality, what are the effects that are coming with the infrasound that you don't see at high frequencies. And I would say at this point we nailed it. We know exactly how to do it. But just to give you an example, if you ask any microphone manufacturer for the specification, all of the specifications end at 20 hertz. So this is where all of the signal begins. So we had to really create our own field and the standards, how to measure that, how to design those earbuds, how to evaluate them at those frequencies. So the first few years was a lot of experimentation in trying to understand how the infrasound works, how to reproduce, how to build better and better prototypes of our earbuds, then how to make sure that you can at the same time listen to music as well, because even from the physics perspective, like yes, it's a different frequency, so you should be able to listen to music, but then you have to test it as well. Now also our current earbuds and the next prototypes will be also with the noise cancellation, so keep adding all of the functionalities that regular earbuds have. So the first part of the journey we had to harness the infrasound to build reliable earbuds. And in the meantime, as we've been doing that, we've been keep discovering actually how it works, how to capture that, and this allowed us to build a very strong IP portfolio. So as we've been diving into that discovery journey, we also simultaneously we've been working with our IP IP team and filing the patent applications because it was really, really novel. And then once we had reliable units, we started also doing multiple clinical studies to see what is feasible with this technology. And we did one of the first clinical studies. We were looking at atrial fibrillation, which has it's such a big issue for the healthcare system, for people who have it, but it's very difficult to detect. So definitely all of those wearables that we have today, like watches, they make the huge impact, positive impact on understanding of that diseases and capturing it. But it always comes with the limitations that today you have to, stop what you're doing. You have to experience symptoms. We show that with MindMics earbuds, we can detect atrial fibrillation and monitor it when you listen to music, when you're just using the earbuds, and can do it continuously. With the accuracy of gold standard ECG. So that was one of the first things that we show. We published that result in Nature Digital Medicine. We also submitted the patent application for that was already granted. Then we started working also with Scripps Health because our appetite was keep growing about, okay, what else we can do in terms of cardiovascular health? Because when you think about the arrhythmias, you're looking at the timing of heart rhythms that you can infer from the timing between the heartbeats. But we wanted to really see, can we do actually the hemodynamics and see how the valves are functioning? Is the heart muscle healthy? How is it pushing blood through the aorta? Because today, to do those things, you have to put the catheter into someone's heart, so it's extremely invasive. And at that time, also, we wanted to understand, will our signal correlate more to the signals that we traditionally know from the cardiac catheterization, or more like the blood flow that we see through the echocardiogram? So we set the study to simultaneously collect the MindMics data through our earbuds when patients were undergoing cardiac catheterization. So that was a very challenging study because the setup itself was really quite crazy. On top of that, we wanted to make sure that we could collect the data and align them with millisecond resolution, which is usually not done because it's very difficult to have such a precision, because we wanted to understand from where we're seeing those sounds. Because a lot of people were saying like, oh, most likely you're seeing it somewhere close to the ear, but actually the data was showing like it looks very much like the waveforms from the aorta, but it's almost like crazy, like seeing the signals from the aorta directly for the ear, that would be incredible, but it's almost like, too good to be true. So right. To be able to test that hypothesis, we spent a lot of time synchronizing all of the data streams from the ECG, from the catheter, from MindMics, and we have the publication coming where we actually combine all of those results, and all of them point into the origin from the aorta. So this is so incredible, having a tool that it is a regular earbud that we put to listen to music could do something that today it's done only with very invasive procedures. And the heart failure is #1 killer globally. So putting it into something that almost everyone is using, that can really change the way how we think about our heart health. So we spend a lot of time on our clinical validation, showing what this technology can do for heart health and the cardiovascular diseases. And then in the meantime, as also our prototypes were getting better and better, over the last 2 years, we've been working on the whole MindMics heart health system that has all of the key elements. So at this point, today you can go to our website and buy one of our evaluation unit. This is a limited edition. As we don't want to be the earbud brand, but we're working with other earbud companies and manufacturers that want to enable this technology into their earbuds, because that's our goal. Our goal is to enable this technology into as many earbuds as possible, and and give people accurate algorithms that they can use into their products to give people that benefit of information about how their heart is doing, how stressed out they are. Because going back to that story about stress, so actually we already incorporated into our system, into our app, like a dashboard that literally is showing you what is your physiological state at the given time. It can show in real time if you're going towards fight and flight or rest and digest. So it's pretty cool. I really recommend that. So the reason why I didn't burn out after 6 years of building a startup is that actually our product works. Because in the meantime, we really figured out how to look. Once you have this accurate data, you can see how the body is responding in real time. And it's fascinating. Because with our dashboard, you can see if somebody is stressing you out, you can see immediately, okay, and you know that it's that person. There's data do not lie, and we lie to ourselves very often, but the data and our heart does not lie. It is responding to good and bad things very quickly, and is giving very, very interesting information. I really recommend that. About both things that are more negative stimuli on our heart, but also things that are relaxing us and putting us to the rest and digest. Also, our system has, we added the breathwork exercises, because then very quickly you can also learn how to get yourself into desirable state at the given time. Because sometimes you want to be a little bit in the fight and flight when you want to perform. You don't want to be relaxed and rest and digest when you have to go and give the presentation. So definitely, that's so fascinating about our body, that we have so much control over it. And that was something for me that was so fascinating to learn on that journey, because as an astrophysicist, I knew something about the black holes, but I was really surprised how little we learn at school about our own body and how it works, what kind of impact we have on it. I was definitely living in the thinking that we have very little influence on how our body is responding. Like, oh, it's just happening to us. Like, oh, it's. But it actually, it's very different. We have a massive impact. A lot of things we can do, and even the way how we breathe can have a massive impact into if stress is hurting us or is actually working as an exercise that is building the resilience. So that was definitely, it's a fascinating journey, and now we're bringing the tool that can help also other people to master their physiological response.
Besides collecting your personal insights of like which person stresses you out more and stuff like that, is it also like analyzing your state during some period of time and just notifies you, oh, something's going really bad, you need to go to the doctor and stuff like that? Mm-hmm. Do you have that functionality?
Not yet. At this point, we don't have the notifications yet. It's the first edition of the system, but where you look yourself and learn. It's more as a biofeedback system and well-being system. It's not yet the medical device. We're working now, our next big step is to provide, we're working now on the algorithms for the blood pressure. So once we get there, once we see that, okay, we are getting close to getting it, then we will be also pursuing the medical path, because it's huge value in being able to also providing the blood pressure, and then also with the blood pressure can tell us much more about your state, and then we can go toward the diagnosis of hypertension and other aspects. When in the well-being system, the physiological state, our body naturally responds toward the fight and flight, rest and digest, and they can be both good or bad depending on what you're doing. So it's at this point we're providing it as a well-being system, but we open to collaborations with other companies to help them embed some of the aspects of our technology that could be also part of the medical devices or software as a medical device. And ourselves, we're focusing our R&D now on blood pressure as a next big feature to provide to our customers.
Is there like a requirement number of hours you need to wear earbuds? Like, for example, some people might just use it during the practice at the gym, and somebody might have 12 calls a day and use it all the time. I assume that the data would be different and the results would be different for each person.
Actually, it's a good question. The way how we've envisioned usage of the earbuds is that or rather how we design our experience is that we base on the existing habits. So whenever you're wearing the earbuds, you can also see how your physiology is responding. But we need very little data. Literally with 10 heartbeats, we can tell what your heart rate is. And then we need only about 30 to 60 heartbeats to return heart rate variability. So if you're on the go, you can very quickly check on yourself. If you have 2 minutes, you can do the breath work, and that's sufficient sometimes to see the significant change in your physiological state. So it all depends on what you're looking for, how much time you have, because we're not looking into adding to people's busy schedules and the crazy life, but actually building on the existing behavior that we all have, and just help people to be more mindful and get the data to understand how what they do during the day has impact on them when they need it and when they want it.
Understood. I absolutely love everything on the discovery and scientific side. How do you gonna make this a successful business? What is the business model now, and what's the plan?
Excellent question. Actually, number one, we don't planning to be another earbud brand. There is so many great earbuds out there, but all of them are missing one thing. There is no heart health monitoring in any of the earbuds. People tried hard to use the optical sensors that are used on the wrist, but those currently used optical sensors in the wearable devices are just too big and drain too much battery to be used in the earbuds. We have the technology that is solving all of the pain points of enabling heart health monitoring for the ear. And so our primary business model is the licensing, is the B2B. We already have first partnerships with the earbud and parts manufacturers. So we're working on within the supply chain to make enabling this technology even easier, and just part of the package and plug and play. And that's our primary business model, which is B2B and licensing our algorithms, both on the device, but also for a lot of partners that are interested in more metrics or more complex metrics that you cannot, for example, do today in the devices. We also have a set of metrics and which we can enable through APIs to our cloud, which is another part of our business model. Mm-hmm. And again, to help our partners to enable it quicker, we offer the entire white label solution, so we can actually, we do license the entire app. So we already have a lot of interest from a lot of partners that are coming and saying like, oh, we have this device, but we want to show people how it actually works, how they can best use it. So we offer our full physiological state widget and the whole system with the metrics and the white label as well. So our primary business model is B2B. Especially in these initial phases. Once we add the blood pressure to the system, this will open for us further path to revenue generation and bringing really unique products. Because today our product is solving, the user experience is built to help people manage stress, which is also one of the first things that doctor will tell you when you have any heart related issues. If you go to a cardiologist, will tell you 2 things: manage stress and take your blood pressure twice per day. So we already have the part of managing stress. Once we add also the blood pressure, it will be such a really great tool for people to really manage their condition. So that's what we're working toward, and this is where we'll have ambition to also launch MindMics as a own product, software as a medical device. And hopefully by then, a lot of earbuds will have our technology inside. So hopefully, any of those earbuds will be able to connect to our system.
From the technical perspective, I assume you have some sort of interface, a mobile app to get all the data and monitor it. So when some brand of earbuds comes to you and you sell them the license, do they need to integrate to your mobile app, or you just give them the code and they add that functionality to their app? How would that work?
We have a few models depending on what our partners need, because each partner has a different needs. So we have the whole package. Some of the partners, they just want to have the heart rate on the device. Then it's simple licensing model, simple library that goes on the chipset. A lot of chipsets already have really nicely built-in licensing models. So for example, if you want to add, let's say, noise cancellation, you don't go and build your algorithms. Right. It's already, you go to the companies, those chipset manufacturers, they already have the whole framework. You just say, okay, I want to have 10,000 licenses for the noise cancellation. So already we also building into those models. So we have the option with just enabling it on the device, like heart rate, but it's limited metrics. So to enable much more metrics that are much more complex, we have the subscription to the cloud, which is integration with the APIs. If some partners already have very elaborated apps, so they just want to have the access to the APIs with the data stream. Their partners are they have the great ideas for the new product, or they have the earbuds, but they don't have the app at all, and they want to add those more advanced metrics. So for them, we also offering the whole white label solution. We also have the partners that do very high-end earbuds with our technology already designed in. So we also offering that reference design. So basically, we've been working hard to build that whole ecosystem in which we can really accelerate the way how this technology can be enabled by our partners.
Let's talk for a sec about fundraising. How did you approach it? How do you approach it now? Is it more applying for grants or classical VC fundraising?
We do, I would say, at this point, we're looking for a lot of different ways to do the fundraising. So far, we have strategic investors as well, a lot of angels. Now we have another round open, so if somebody's interested who is listening to this podcast, so please contact me. Also we are now applying for a lot of grants, because now we have enough data to actually also provide the initial verification of our hypothesis. So we've been applying for the grants before, but now it feels that we are getting to the spot that we have enough traction to also get much more support from coming through the grants, especially that there's so many innovative solutions that we can build with this technology. So last 2 weeks we submitted 2 big applications, and we're getting ready for another one as well. So fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Coming from the scientific world to entrepreneurs world, what's like for you was the most surprising or the most challenging thing being an entrepreneur?
That's a very good question. At this point, it's been so long ago, like 6 years, that I don't remember the life before. I'm focusing on similarities, actually, of being in academia, and how that experience I had in academia helped me to become an entrepreneur. I would say it would be much more difficult to jump from academia to, let's say, big corporation, because it's very different structure. When you're thinking about entrepreneurship, definitely what I had to align or make sure that it's taken into my equation was the timing, in terms of the solution, in terms of the thinking about what and when we have to deliver it. So definitely startups are at a much faster pace, but if you're at the place like Harvard, it's fast paced as well. So life does not slow down when you are in academia in some places, definitely. And also I was very privileged and very lucky to be a part of the very big collaboration. So even in being in academia, that experience that I had to work with people with very different expertise and bringing everybody together from different countries, that was something that definitely I could transfer very quickly into entrepreneurship. And I think the fact that, especially at the beginning, when you're working with the scientists, you don't have any money, and you have to convince other people to work with you and collaborate with you on those ideas. So that idea that you have nothing and you have an idea and you have to convince people to join you. And on top of that, being resilient to failure, because in science we just fail all the time, and you just keep going, and there is no such a thing like, oh, maybe I should stop doing it. No, it's you do it until you succeed. And I think I think it's that's something, that kind of experience, it's difficult to get anywhere else than in academia. Of course, in entrepreneurship, you get that all the time, but just hearing no all the time, whenever you're applying for applications, it's the academia is so competitive. I don't think people realize how competitive place it is. A lot of people have a view about academia that you're just sitting and think about the ideas. It's extremely competitive to get the fellowship, to get the position. It's very stressful because you cannot make a mistake. If you make a mistake, you're out, end of the game. And from that perspective, entrepreneurship, it's just a learning process. You just learn to do something next. In academia, it's ruthless. And if you want to be on the top, and definitely that was the place where I was. So in 10 years, you can feel very stressed out. But you have that fast pace. You hear no all the time. You're applying for grants, for applications. You keep hearing no all the time, but all you do is like, you don't go and have a drink because you fail. Like, no, you would have to drink all the time. You just look at the comments. You think, okay, next time I will improve this, and this, and you keep going. And that's a very unique approach to life, to building this very thick skin, where also when you have a new idea, everybody will criticize you, especially when you are from the Eastern Europe, so you may understand what we go there through. Right. It's a very different experience in the US. When they criticize you, it's always nice. In our countries, it's never nice.
That's true. That's true. So academia prepared you well for this journey, but still looking back over this past 6 years, and you have the data with your earbuds, what is the most stressful thing for you in being a startup founder?
I think also this is changing with time, because being the first time founder is stressful, because you feel that any small problem, issue, you think like, oh my God, it's going to kill my company. Right. As you go, there's so many things, and you just keep going. It's like, yeah, okay, but also you learn how to negotiate, how to talk to people, how to motivate everyone, there's so many things. I would say that's the part that we don't have in academia. That's something that we don't learn to resolve problems in academia, because if you have a problem with someone, you just don't talk to them ever again. And that's the problem solved. In the startup world, my job as a leader, as a CEO, is to go and make sure that everything is working, and there's always something that is not working, and this is where you go. So it's it's a lot of, I wouldn't say it's the most stressful. This is where the most energy goes to, is always making sure that everybody is aligned, and there is always not enough resources, very different expectations. So there is a lot of energy that goes into that.
At the very end, I ask my guests to give some sort of a piece of advice to other startup founders. What would be your number one recommendation to other startup founders in digital health?
I would say what I have learned very quickly is how important is health and the value of sleep. Because if you sleep well, if you rested, if you understand physiology, then you wake up and you just keep going, you're solving the problems. But if you let your brain wake you up at the 3 a.m. and just go in the very dark places, and then you have to next day solve the problems, because it will not solve the problems being wake up at 3 a.m.
Right. I love it. I have so many startup founders in digital health that still do not know how to manage their own health. And maybe they should rethink how they approach their personal health before they try to fix health problems for someone else.
I think it's a very good point that you make, because we are in the health business and we are the leaders, and leaders lead by example.
Very true. Well, thank you so much, Anna. I wish you best of luck with all the amazing discoveries you do, and hopefully you make a successful business out of it.
Thank you so much.